Ready? Okay. At this time, I call to order this public hearing of the Bonner County Hearing Examiner on April 16th, 2025 at 1:40 in the afternoon. And I apologize for the delay. There was a national issue with Zoom, so we were taking a little bit of time to get that figured out. We are located in the first floor conference room of the Bonner County Administration Building, 1500 Highway 2, Sandpoint, Idaho. We are streaming online via Zoom and YouTube. Is there anyone in attendance in need of special assistance to hear, see, or participate in these proceedings? Okay. All right, if you can please take note of the hearing procedures on the screen. And I will be submitting my written decision within 5 business days of this hearing for these files. Is there any changes to today's agenda? Okay. Any announcements?
Nope. All right.
Okay. Then I'd like to leave the room in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. All right. Are there any changes to the April 2nd minutes? Okay, then I approve those. All right. Okay, so today we are starting with file V0002-25, a variance lot size minimum. The applicant is requesting a parcel size of 3.77 acres where 10 acres are required for the purposes of a boundary line adjustment. The 8.087 acre property is zoned agricultural forestry 10. The project site is located off Hidden Meadow Lane in section 12, township 58 north, range 2 west, Boise Meridian. And I have no conflict of interest with this, so it's all yours, Kyle.
Yeah, real quick, we did have some late comments coming.
Oh, sure.
My thing.
Okay.
For each file.
Oh. So oh, I see.
It's an agency comment stating they have no comment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, we can go ahead and enter those into record. I should have looked over the backside. I'm like, this is cute. What's going on? Okay, Kyle, it's all yours.
So again, we're doing that lot size minimum for Caldwell Trust, file is V002-25. Quick project summary again, and the applicant is requesting a parcel size of 3.77 acres where 10 acres is required for the purposes of a boundary line adjustment. Property is located off Hidden Meadow Lane in section 12, township 58 north, range 2 west, Boise Meridian. Property is zoned ag forest 10. There's a quick site plan of what's being proposed, that northern parcel, or it's kind of in the center. You can see what the original boundary line is, and they're just going to shift it up north. A little background on the site. The land use is, there's currently a commercial veterinary clinic. It's 8.8 acres, 8.08 acres, and agricultural 7.75. It is currently unplatted. The size of the parcel in question is that 8.087 acres. Currently zoned ag forest 10. Comp plan designation is ag forest land 10 to 20 acres. Access is provided off that northern boundary line, the Hidden Meadow Lane, a 60-foot wide, privately owned, privately maintained easement. Some environmental factors, as you can see, the site does contain mapped slopes. Does not contain any mapped wetlands, does not have any water frontage, and the site is within SFHA Zone X per the front panel shown. Continued background as far as the services, there is supplied by individual well and individual septic system. It is within Lake Pondere School District Zone and Northside Fire District. On the screen there are the applicable standards that this variance was applied to this project. Full list of agencies notice for this file can be found in the attached Annex A. Comments were submitted by the following agencies: Bonner County Floodplain Review, see the staff report for the comment, and DEQ. Following agencies replied with no comment, and that was Department of Fish and Game, PhD, and U.S. Forest Service. All other agencies did not respond, and no public comments were received at the time of the staff report. Describe whether conditions apply to the property that do not apply generally. to other properties in the same zone vicinity, which conditions are a result of lot size, shape, topography, or other circumstances over which the applicant has no control. The applicant responds to this variance request is in conjunction with a BLA application between two parcels listed there. The parcel in question, which is that vet clinic one, is currently 8.14 acres with an active veterinary clinic. The clinic is being sold and the owners wish to sell only the property that is being used by the veterinary clinic, which is 3.77 acres. The southern parcel, south to the vet clinic of 8.01 acres would increase to 13.2 acres. Currently, both parcels are below the minimum of 10 acres. The resulting BLA would create one parcel that is in compliance with the 10-acre minimum. Staff response. The subject parcel does contain map slopes, but does not contain any map wetlands according to data from USGS and US Fish and Wildlife Service. It is located within SFHA Zone X, which does not necessitate floodplain development permitting. As stated in the application, the parcel was surveyed and established in 1995, currently encompassing 8.14 acres. No environmental conditions have been identified that would require a further reduction of the property below the zoning limits. Second standard is explain how special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant. So RP 58 North 02 West 1253551A and RP 58 North 02 West 5390A were created by survey in 1995. Current owners purchased both parcels in 2009 and has operated the vet clinic on RP 58 North 02 West 1253551A since. The reduction in size encompasses all the active vet clinic improvements and allows for some expansion to the south. Staff response, the applicants obtained ownership of the property on August 21st, 2009 via warranty deed instrument number 778835. For the application, the applicants are requesting a parcel size of 3.77 acres in order to sell the land that is being used by the veterinary clinic. The remaining acreage will be absorbed by the property to the south through a boundary line adjustment. Bonner County Revised Code 12-234B requires that the circumstances cannot be a result of the actions of the applicant. While the current property size of 8.14 acres was created prior to the applicants obtaining the property, it is considered to be legal non-conforming due to the fact that it is undersized for the zoning district it is in. This proposal appears to create a more non-conforming parcel. Explain how granting this variance is not in conflict with the public interest and that it will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare, or materially injurious to properties or improvements in the vicinity of the subject parcel or lot. Applicant response, the change in boundaries or acreage will not affect the current operation of the vet clinic, which has been in operation since 2009. Staff response, no agency or no public or agency comments were received that indicated this proposal would be detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare, or materially injurious to properties or improvements in the vicinity of the subject parcel. Finally, staff analysis per BCRC 12-411, the minimum parcel size for the agricultural forestry 10 zone is 10 acres. The subject parcel is already a legal non-conforming parcel at 8.14 acres. There's not appear to be any environmental conditions on the property that would require this variance. For the application, the variance request would allow the property to be further reduced below zoning minimums in order to facilitate the sale of the veterinary clinic that is currently operating on the subject parcel. Again, no comments from the public or agency was received that indicated this proposal would be detrimental to public health, safety, or welfare, or be materially injurious to properties or improvements in the vicinity of the subject parcel. Any questions?
Thank you. Okay. Would the applicant like to make a presentation at this time?
I'm checking to see if anyone's on there. No one else.
Okay, then I am going to go ahead and read the rules of testimony. First of all, you'll need to state your name for the record. Okay, this is an old script, so I might say this differently than I normally do. Public testimony is limited to 3 minutes per person. You may give your 3 minutes to another person so that they may have up to 6 minutes to speak, but no one will be allowed more than 6 minutes. Comments are to be limited to the specifics of this application only. If you agree with another speaker, please just acknowledge your agreement. And there are no personal or derogatory comments about another person or their position will be allowed. No cheering, clapping, or booing will be allowed either. Is there anyone anyone that has a written statement they would like to enter into the record at this time? Okay. Any supporting public or online testimony?
One moment, please.
Okay. Oops, sorry, lost my place. Okay. Any neutral public or online testimony?
None.
Any opposing public or online testimony?
None.
Okay. Anyone in the audience who did not sign up to speak that would like to enter any record or comments into the record at this time? Okay, all right, so then at this time, I'm going to close the hearing to public testimony. Okay. What I actually liked about this application is the fact that granted, they already have basically two non-conforming lots out there. They, by bringing this, realigning this, they actually do create one conforming lot, making it a 12-acre. Also, I saw that there's absolutely no concerns from agency or public comment that would raise a flag to reducing down the lot that encompasses the commercial business. Which I also thought was a good thing in this case. So, and I did take a look at the assessor's map out there, the public map that you can get through the assessor's website. I noticed there's a lot of very small non-conforming lots out there. So I do like the idea that anytime there's an opportunity to get one up to back up to a conforming size, that we can get that done. Okay, so at this time, I'm going to approve this project B 0002-25, requesting a parcel size of 3.77 acres where 10 acres is required, finding that it is in accord with the Bonner County Revised Code as enumerated in the following conclusions of law, and based upon the evidence submitted up to the time the staff report was prepared and testimony received at this hearing. I further adopt the findings of fact and conclusions of law as set forth in the staff report and direct planning staff to draft written findings and conclusions to reflect this motion and transmit to all interested parties. The action that could be taken to obtain the variance is to complete the conditions of approval as adopted. This action does not result in the taking of private property. Conclusion 1, conditions apply to the property that do not generally apply to other properties in the same zone of vicinity, which conditions are a result of lot size, shape, topography, or other circumstances over which the applicant has no control. Conclusion 2, special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant. Conclusion 3, the granting of the variance is not in conflict with the public interest in that it will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare, or materially injurious to properties or improvements in the vicinity of the subject parcel or lot. Okay, so at this time, I am closing file V 0002-25. And we are moving on to file V 0003-25, a variance street setback. The applicant is requesting a variance to the street setback standards to allow for a 5-foot setback where 25 feet is required along both Handy Street to the north and the alleyway to the east of the subject lot. The 0.128 acre property is zone recreation. The project site is located off Scranton Avenue in section 10, township 59 north, range 4 west, Boise Meridian, and I have no conflict of interest with this, so that is all yours.
Dave Fisher.
Sorry, Dave. My bad. I did say Dave, it just came out a croak.
Alright, Dave Fisher, Bonner County Plan. Decreased roadway setbacks, Randy and Tara Groves. Project summary, the applicants are requesting a variance to the street setback requirement to allow for 5-foot setbacks or 25 feet is required. Project site's located off Scranton Avenue. Highlighted there, you can see the street or right away on all 3 sides. Site plan shows their proposed structure in the corner, northeast corner of the lot. Current land use is residential, as a vacant lot, platted, 0.128 acres. Current zoning is recreation. Comp plan designation is resort community. Access is off Scranton Avenue, a 60-foot wide, Bonner County owned and privately maintained dirt right of way. Environmental factors on the site include map slopes. See those on the western portion. Site does not contain map wetlands. Site does not contain water frontage and is it within special flood hazard zone X. Soils present on site are Bonner silt loam, pool 0 to 4% slopes. Subject lot served by individual well for water, Cooling Sewer District for sewage, Cooling Kavanaugh Bay Fire District, Northern Lights, and West Bonner School District. There's a list of county codes applying to this project. And following agencies replied with a comment: Bonner County Road and Bridge Department and Bonner County Planning and Floodplain Review. Agencies replying with no comment were the Idaho Department of Environmental Quality, Idaho Department of Fish and Game, Idaho Transportation Department, Panhandle Health Department, Kootenai Pondere Sewer District, and the USDA Forest Service. No other agencies responded. For the special conditions describing whether conditions apply to the property that do not apply generally to other properties in the same zone, vicinity, which conditions are a result of lot size, shape, topography, or other circumstances over which the applicant has no control. The applicant's response was, currently where the wellhead is located, combined with the setbacks, it would not be possible to build the size we need, 24 by 35 foot long. The back and side yard is critical for our build. Without it, the width and length would be too altered that it wouldn't be worth building. Staff's response were, the subject parcel is small and narrow, with platted right-of-ways on 3 sides. The 2 rights-of-way being addressed for this variance are currently undeveloped, and 1 is a platted alleyway. The western portion contains slopes greater than 30%, while the area being proposed to be built on the eastern portion is relatively flat. These conditions do appear to apply to many of the other parcels in the area. However, many of the neighbors have been granted similar variances for the same conditions. The current setback standards create a building envelope of approximately 20 by 50 feet. The lots were designed prior to current county setback standards. And in 2003, at the time of purchase, the lot was subject to 5-foot setbacks on the northern and eastern property lines. As a result of Ordinance 606 on July 4th, 2020, these setbacks were increased to 25 feet, creating the current building envelope. And explaining how special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant. The applicant responded, similar setback reductions have been allowed within the same community. Staff's response was, this lot was platted, created on October 5th, 1909 under instrument number 10217. The applicant purchased the lot April 30th, 2003 under instrument 624215. The applicant has not built on or modified the parcel in any way since purchasing it. The applicant has applied for a lot line adjustment on November 26, 2024 to combine the lot with the properties to the south. This was proposed under file number LS 0047-24 and is still under review by the planning department. And explaining how granting the variance is not in conflict with the public interest and that it will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare, or materially injurious to properties or improvements in the vicinity of the subject parcel or lot. The applicant's response was, the existing roads are fairly undeveloped and would not affect the building area of the neighboring properties. Staff's response was, the subject lot and associated rights of way were created on October 5th, 1909 under instrument number 10217, and the rights of way have never been developed. Portions of these same rights of way have already been vacated. In addition, several neighbors, including the applicant's neighbor, Directly to the east, across the alleyway, have received similar street setback variances. Bonner County Road and Bridge provided comment in opposition to this file for potential future development constraints. No other agencies provide comment that suggested that the granting of this variance would be detrimental to the public health, safety, welfare, or materially injurious to properties or improvements in the vicinity of the subject lot. No public comments were received. Staff analysis, the lot was not created by the applicant and is bordered by road rights of way on 3 sides. It is small and narrow in configuration. The western portion of the lot includes steep slopes, while the area identified for the proposed structure is relatively flat. The adjacent rights of way were platted in 1909 and remain undeveloped. Similar variances have been granted in the surrounding area. Comments received from Bonner County Road and Bridge reference the potential for future development within the existing rights of way as a consideration in evaluating the variance request. That's a rough sketch of the building location within the lot. That is it. Any questions?
No, thank you. Okay, would the applicant like to make a presentation? Okay. Okay, well, since. Did everybody get to hear my rules of testimony? I don't think I want to repeat them again. Unless I need to. I'm sorry, did you walk in did you get to hear my rules of testimony? Oh, man, okay, I'll read them.
Sorry.
No worries, I'm reading them off my teeny tiny phone. Okay, so rules of testimony, you need to state your name for the record. Public testimony is limited to 3 minutes per person. You may give your 3 minutes to another person. So they may have up to 6 minutes to speak, but no one will be allowed more than 6 minutes. Public comments are limited to the specifics of this application only. If you agree with another speaker, please just acknowledge agreement. No need to repeat the information. Any personal or derogatory comments about another person or the position will not be allowed. Clapping, cheering, and booing will not be allowed either. Okay, is there anyone that has a written statement they would like to enter into the record at this time? Any supporting public or online testimony? Any neutral public or online testimony? Any opposing public or online testimony? Anyone in the audience who did not sign up to speak that would like to enter comments into the record? Okay, nothing for anyone. Okay, so I'm going to close the hearing to public testimony at this time. Okay, so I did take into account looking at Road and Bridge's comments, and I can understand their concern about future development. However, what I found in looking at this is that there's already constraints out there from development that's already been allowed. And seeing that the roads, it looked like were in place since 1909, it doesn't appear that there's a big rush to doing developing out there. And I also do see where they do have some serious constraints with the slopes and the right of ways going around this property on the 3 sides. So I am going to go ahead and approve this project B0003-25, requesting a variance to the street setback standards to allow for a 5-foot setback where 25 feet is required along both Handy Street to the north and the alleyway to the east of the subject lot, finding that it is in accord with the Bonner County Revised Code as enumerated in the following conclusions of law and based upon the evidence submitted up to the time the staff report was prepared and testimony received at this hearing. I further adopt the findings of fact and conclusions of law set forth in the staff report and direct planning staff to draft written findings and conclusions to reflect this motion and transmit to all interested parties. The action that could be taken to obtain the variance is to complete the conditions of approval as adopted. This action does not result in the taking of private property. Conclusion 1, conditions apply to the property that do not apply generally to the other properties in the same zone or vicinity, which conditions are a result of lot size, shape, topography, or other circumstances over which the applicant has no control. Conclusion 2, special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant. Conclusion 3, the granting of the variance is not in conflict with the public interest in that it will not be detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare or materially injurious to properties or improvements in the vicinity of the subject parcel or lots. Okay, so at this time I close file V 0003-25. All right, so we are moving on to file MOD 0007-24, a modification of a conditional use permit for a private community facility and RV park/campground. The applicant is requesting a modification to an existing conditional use permit CUP 0017-23 for a private community facility to add an RV park/campground. The cumulative 23.83 acre project site is zoned rural 5. The project site is located off Homestead Road in section 33, township 54 north, range 3 west, Boise Meridian, and I have no conflict of interest, so it's all yours, Alex.
Thank you. Alex Fan, planning staff. My presentation will be a little. Not a breezy day, sorry. So as stated, the applicant is requesting a modification to their existing conditional use permit. File number CUP 0017-23 that was approved for a private community facility back in 2023 to add an RV park/campground for the use by the private community facility guests. So the cumulative 23.83 acre project site is zoned rural 5, and the project site is located off Homestead Road in section 33, township 54 north, range 3 west, Boise Meridian. So on the screen on the left-hand side is the proposed site plan to add into the existing approved site plan, which is shown on the right-hand side of the screen. So these are the standards at which this application was reviewed against. So these are two unplatted parcels that are approximately 23.83 acres in size cumulatively. It is zoned rural 5 and has a land use designation of rural residential and is accessed off Homestead Road, a Bonner County owned and privately maintained public right of way. So the site does not contain any mapped slopes. It does not contain any mapped wetlands or contain frontage on a river, stream, or frontage to a lake. It is located entirely within special flood hazard area zone X. It is served by an individual well and individual septic system. Currently, there's no proposal by the applicant to provide septic service to any of these campsites. But there is a proposal for them to use the existing well that is on the southern parcel. The property is served by Sagal Fire District. There will be no power ran to the campsites, and it is located within the service district of Lake Pond Area School District number 84. So the proposed use that we're going to be looking at today is for recreational vehicles, recreational vehicle parks and campgrounds. These are conditionally allowed in the rural zone, and they are also subject to notes 8 and 21 in the commercial use table, which I will go over now. So note 8 says that adequate water supplies for drinking and fire suppression, as well as approval of sewage disposal sites and methods by the Panhandle Health District and or the state of Idaho must be demonstrated as appropriate. So I'll first do an analysis of the adequate water supplies for drinking. So the applicant has not proposed individual water hookups at the campsites. Instead, water is proposed to be sourced from an existing well located on the southern parcel. Based on comments received from the Idaho Department of Environmental Quality and Panhandle Health District, a public water system may be required to serve the proposed use. However, neither agency provided definitive determinations, and both requested additional information regarding the existing water source and system. The RV park and campground are proposed on the northern parcel, while the well is located near the existing residence, which is approximately 700 to 800 feet from the proposed camping area. A condition of approval has been included requiring compliance with DEQ requirements prior to issuance of the land use permit. Alternatively, documentation from DEQ confirming that a public water system is not required may be submitted. Next is the analysis of adequate sewage disposal. So the application indicates that sewage disposal for the RV park and campground will be provided through the use of portable restrooms. The code actually says porta johns, which I thought was funny. An option found in BCRC 12-497G42. According to an email from Panhandle Health District submitted by the applicant, PhD does not have jurisdiction over the use of portable restrooms. However, informal comments received from PhD on March 19th, 2025. Concerns were noted regarding the potential use of the existing septic system to serve the campsites. To address this, a condition of approval has been included requiring the applicant to provide documentation confirming rental of portable restrooms for the use on site. And an additional condition has been added requiring written confirmation from PhD that neither expansion of the existing septic system nor installation of a new system is necessary as part of this conditional use permit. So next is the analysis of the public utility facility. As I stated in the previous analysis, there may be a need for a public water system. And that may be determined by Department of Environmental Quality. So the definition of a public utility facility is a public, private, or community utility facility, including but not limited to station houses or station grounds, pumping stations, power substations, dam structures, solid waste transfer stations, fire stations, telephone transmission stations, telegraph stations, sewage disposal, treatment, or storage stations, and subsurface sewage disposal systems serving 10 or more residential dwelling units, or designed with a capacity of 2,500 gallons or more per day. Public community water systems designed for 15 or more connections or regularly serves at least 25 year-round residents. Public libraries, railroad transportation lines or spurs, railroad classification lines, or structures used in interstate transmission of electricity, natural gas, or fuel. Per the application, the camping sites will not have any direct water or sewer services. The attendees will be provided access to portable restrooms, porta johns, and a water source near the existing single-family dwelling, approximately 700, 800 feet from the proposed camping area. The water system is indicated by DEQ and PhD, may qualify for a public utility facility according to the IDAPA rules, as well as Bonner County Revised Code. The applicant shall provide documentation that the proposed water system does not meet the criteria set forth in the aforementioned laws, or shall apply for an additional conditional use permit for a public utility facility. And excuse me, that the latter part of that sentence is only if it would be determined to be a public utility facility by DEQ. So the next is the analysis of adequate water supplies for fire suppression. The fire protection is provided by the Sago Fire District. In the letter provided by the applicant from the Sago Fire District, it states to whom it may concern. Selkirk Fire District was approached by Connexu Pines about requirements for a new camping area on their property. Selkirk Fire's requirements are as follows and have been met by the property owner. The camping area shall have and maintain water source with adequate hoses, fire access roads to be kept clear, shovel and a bucket on site. All fires must be in compliance with Idaho Department of Environmental or Idaho Department of Lands, excuse me, burn restrictions. So as a condition of approval, all regulations set forth by the Sago Fire District shall be met at all times. So note 21 refers to the section 12-497 of this title, and we'll go over that shortly. But for the remaining of this note, site requirements for RV parks include at least 25% tree canopy coverage and a maximum of 25% impervious surface. The proposed camping area site is 13.71 acres. And so that, let me clarify that, that is the part of the parcel size. The actual camping area is about 2 acres. So the submitted site plan indicates that approximately 70% of the parcel has the tree canopy, and this will meet the requirement of 25% coverage. Approximately 2.7 acres or 25% can be impervious surface, for which this proposal is meeting this requirement. Next is performance standards for all uses. So fire hazards, the applicant has not proposed any use or storage of flammable or explosive materials. In the event of the use or storage of these materials, the applicant will be required to follow the requirements set forth by the Salem Fire District. Radioactivity or electrical disturbance, none of the proposed uses are anticipated to create radioactivity or electrical disturbances. Noise, the commercial land uses are allowed to create noise up to 65 decibels at the property line of the lot, the parcel. That is included in the conditions of approval. Next is vibration. No vibration shall be permitted, which is discernible without the use of vibration detection instruments on any adjoining lot or property. And it is not anticipated that this standard will be exceeded. Maybe I didn't. Air pollution didn't make it into this to the
You leave us hanging there, the applicant has.
I know. Oh, I apologize, that's not in the staff report. So the water pollution, wastewater will not be generated by the proposed use. The applicant is proposing the use of portable restrooms for sewage disposal. So for parking standards, for RV parks, the requirement is 1.25 spaces per unit. So pursuant to Bonner County revised code, off-street parking must be provided for all proposed uses. The previously approved conditional use permit for the private community facility allocated 147 off-street parking spaces, and it had a requirement of 142 spaces. The proposed campground and RV park, each campsite is shown to be approximately 7,500 square feet in size, where the minimum required area per site is 1,800 square feet. Based on the site layout and overall space available, it appears that there is adequate area within each campsite to accommodate parking for individual units. But to ensure clarity and compliance with parking and site design standards, the applicant shall submit a revised site plan clearly delineating all designated parking areas and the boundaries of each campsite. So this next review is going to be a comparison between RV dwelling units and RV parks. So the residential use table allows for RV dwelling units as a separate category and is defined in BCRC 12-804. So a recreational vehicle used in the same manner as a single family dwelling or an accessory dwelling unit. The standards for RV dwelling units are detailed in BCRC 12-496, which clearly establishes these are long-term housing options intended for use by property owners. This use is limited to residential zoning districts. So this proposal does not request approval for RV dwelling units, rather it is a request for an RV park, a commercial use defined in BCRC 12-818. As any premises designed for the rental of 3 or more recreational parking stalls or spaces. So next is 12-497 standards for RV parks and campgrounds. The Bonner County Revised Code section 12-497 does not include a specific standard regulating the duration of stay for occupants of recreational vehicle parks. However, because RV parks are listed under the commercial use table rather than the residential use table, imposing a limitation of stay is both appropriate and consistent with the intent of the commercial zoning designation. Comparable transient lodging uses identified in the commercial use table, such as hotels, hostels, resorts, and retreats, are not intended for long-term or permanent residential occupants. Similarly, RV parks permitted with within commercial zones are intended to accommodate short-term stays and should not function as permanent residential developments. Further support for such a limitation can be found in Idaho Code 63-18034 and 676539, which define short-term occupancy as 30 days or less and affirm the authority of local jurisdictions to regulate land uses accordingly. Based on this guidance, a limitation of 30 cumulative days per calendar year per guest is considered appropriate to maintain the commercial nature of this use and avoid reclassification as a residential occupancy. The applicant stated that the RV park and campground will primarily serve guests associated with events at the on-site private community facility, but to ensure consistency with the proposed use, a condition of approval has been included to limit occupancy to guests attending events in conjunction with the private community facility, subject to a maximum stay of 30 cumulative days per calendar year. So the first part of this standard is density. Each RV space shall be an area to accommodate the size of an RV not less than 1,800 square feet and a width of not less than 24 feet. The proposed site plan indicates each site will be approximately 7,500 square feet, and each site will have a width of 75 feet. RV parking is limited to 5 units per acre, and campsites are limited to 5 units per acre as well. So the parcel is 13.71 acres, which is sufficient property size to accommodate 10 camping slash RV spaces. This code section allows for up to 5 RV or camping sites per acre. The proposed use will occupy approximately 2 acres. So next is yards and spacing. All structures must be set back a minimum of 25 feet from all exterior property lines. As shown on the site plan, no structures are proposed to be closer than 25 feet required by code. A site inspection will be required in conjunction with the building location permit to confirm all setbacks. An RV may not be located closer than 10 feet from any RV or permanent building within the RV park. As shown on the staff report, as shown on the site plan, all sites have ample room to meet this code. However, as a part of the conditions of approval, the applicant shall provide a separate site plan showing the distance between the designated camping area within each space. Access: RV parks and campgrounds shall access on maintained county roads, state highways, or forest access roads whenever possible. This proposal is accessed off Homestead Road, a Bonner County owned and privately maintained public right. So the parking shall follow the same standards as 12 as set forth in 12-4.3. So pursuant to Bonner County Revised Code, off-street parking must be provided for all proposed uses. The previously approved conditional use permit has 147 off-street parking spaces, exceeding the minimum requirement of 142 for the private community facility. So for the proposed campground and RV park, each campsite is shown to be approximately 7,500 square feet in size, where the minimum required area per site is 1,800 square feet. Based on the site layout and overall space available, it appears there is adequate area within each campsite to accommodate parking for individual units. But to ensure clarity and compliance with parking and site design standards, the applicant shall submit a revised site plan, clearly delineating all designated parking areas and the boundaries of each campsite. So next is park site design. Provisions for vehicular, bicycle, and pedestrian access shall be integrated into the site. Staff stated that this provision has been integrated into the camping area per the site plan, as the proposed travelway will be accommodated, will be able to accommodate this requirement. May be associated with other recreational uses such as rafting, canoeing, swimming, cross-country skiing, hiking, hunting and fishing, horseback riding, and snowmobiling, together with accessory facilities. These activities may be pursued by guests of the camping site and the private community facility. The next is each space within a RV park shall have direct access to a travel. So each space shown on the site plan demonstrates direct access to the internal 20-foot travelway within the park that allows access to Homestead Road. In the staff report, it stated 2 different roads, and that was just a mistake by staff. So it is an access to Homestead. The park travelway shall consist of an unobstructed area 20 feet wide and shall be well marked to provide a continuous traffic flow. So based on the scale of the site plan, the travelway is 20 feet wide. The 20-foot wide travelway within the park meets this requirement as shown on the required site. Next is parking spaces may be up to 45, may be up to a 45-degree angle from the travelway. A separate site plan showing the parking areas will be provided by the applicant prior to the issuance of this modification. Next, the travelway system shall have direct connection to a public or private road, meeting applicable standards set forth in Title II of this code or Appendix A of this title. So the proposed RV park will have direct access to Homestead Road, a Bonner County owned and privately maintained public road. Next is any RV space that is occupied throughout the winter months and may have an open shell snow roof. Snow roofs shall have a minimum of 10-foot spacing from one another, measured from the greatest architectural projection. But complete enclosure of snow roofs is prohibited. This proposal does not indicate that there are any proposed snow roofs. If snow roofs are to be built, the applicant will need to follow any requirements of Bonner County Revised Code. The RV park or campground may be built in phases as approved through a conditional use permit. There's been no phasing proposed for this project. Uses that are clearly incidental to the operation of the park, such as management headquarters, recreational facilities, toilets, dumping stations, laundry facilities, a convenience store, and other facilities established within the park are permitted as accessory uses. Porta-johns are proposed to be included in this proposal. If the applicant chooses to add incidental uses, they shall apply for another modification. Internal roads and parking service areas shall provide safe and convenient access for service in emergency vehicles and to amenities within the park. Internal roads shall not be designed to encourage use by outside traffic to traverse the park to adjoining developed areas. So the proposed RV park design appears to be providing safe and convenient access throughout the park. Signal Fire did not request a specific road standard. The required width is 20 feet per Bonner County Revised Code. Given the design of the internal road, it does not appear that outside traffic will be encouraged to traverse this spot. Setbacks to wetlands, floodplain, vegetated buffers, and shoreline shall be maintained for all uses on site. Property does not have any mapped wetlands, floodplain, or shoreline, and the vegetated buffer that is required is 25% tree coverage that will be maintained. Next is landscaping. Landscaping and screening shall follow the standards in BCRC 12-4.6. So the applicant is proposing to use the existing vegetation for landscaping and screening purposes, and this appears to be sufficient for this use. Water and sewer. Each site may provide utility connections, including water and subsurface sewage disposal system. This is not a requirement. However, the applicant has indicated that water will be available from an existing well, and the campsites will have access to portable restrooms. All requirements and approvals for the water system and sewage disposal system shall be obtained by the applicant. Next is refuse collection. The park shall provide for regular refuse service, whether self-supported or contracted out with a refuse service. Accumulation of trash is prohibited. So the site plan provided does not designate an area for trash. On a site plan, a separate site plan of refuse collection shall be clearly marked. For signs, signs advertising the business are allowed per BCRC 12-4.4. The application indicates that signage will be used for this use. This meets the requirements for BCRC 12-441E, which allows up to 96 square feet of aggregate size, and no one sign exceeding 64 square feet. And a building location permit is required. Conditional use permit is required for each RV park for 25 spaces or less. This standard is being met as the applicant is pursuing approval of a conditional use permit currently. And a building location permit is required for construction of the entire project or each phase of a approved project, and that will be included as a condition of approval. Next is the standards for the site plan. So existing structures which will remain on the parcel and their uses, and any existing structures proposed to be modified or removed. All proposed structures and their uses, existing proposed roads, easements and points of access, recreational vehicle space dimensions, campground space dimensions, size of the site in acres, dimensions of property lines and property line setbacks, reserved or dedicated open space, major landscape features, both natural and man-made, locations of existing and proposed utility lines, accessory off-street parking and loading facilities and parking space areas, wastewater drain field areas, traffic circulation patterns, refuse and service areas, signs, outdoor storage, and proposed screening and buffering, including fences, yards, walls, or vegetation. So the site plan submitted includes all of the above requirements of 1 through 17, except for number 14, which shall be shown on a separate site plan. Number 14 is the refuse area. So stormwater management plan and erosion control are required in accordance with this code section, and that is a condition of approval. So a full list of the agencies that were notified of this file can be found in Appendix A of the staff report, and all of the agency comments can be found in Appendix B. So we received comments from the Idaho Department of Environmental Quality and Panhandle Health District, and we received no comment replies from Idaho Transportation Department, Idaho Department of Fish and Game, Kootenai Pond Sewer District. And as of the date of the staff report, we did not receive any public comments. So these are the proposed conditions of approval that will need to be met prior to issuance. The applicant shall meet the requirements for a public water system, alternatively documentation from Idaho Department of Environmental Quality stating that a public water system is not required and may be provided. In the case that a public water system is required by DEQ, the applicant shall apply for a conditional use permit for a public utility facility with Water County. The applicant shall provide documentation from Panhandle Health District stating that a new septic system is not required and the existing septic system does not require expansion for the proposed use. And the applicant shall provide a supplemental site plan depicting the following: individual off-street parking spaces for each camping site, definitive camping areas within each camping space, distances between each camping area, and refuse collection areas. And that concludes my presentation. I can answer any questions if you have any.
I don't have any. Good job. Okay, would the applicant like to make a presentation?
Can I just answer questions?
I don't have.
Oh, I guess I can.
So if you could just come up to the mic and state your name for the record so they know who they're recording.
Yeah, this is Jessica Charland, the owner of Connexie Pines Wedding Venue. So we just have a lot of our couples that want to camp on the property after the wedding. So yeah, we're trying to just have, it's essentially a meadow that they would just park in, just their family. And we'll use the same like portable restrooms that we're already using at the venue. We'll be picking up the garbage the same way as we do at the venue. Trying to think what else. The water is, so they actually have to provide their own food and water for the wedding venue. So they won't be drinking our water. That's for to keep by the fire pit. We only have one fire pit down there just because it's a family event. So it's just more for like putting out fires, and we also have the fire extinguishers. And then it's just water for our horses when they graze out there when we don't have camping stuff going on. So
Okay.
yeah, I think that's kind of the gist of it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so since no one new walked in, I'm not gonna repeat the rules of testimony again. Is there anyone that has a written statement they'd like to enter into the record? Any supporting the public testimony in person or online? Any neutral public testimony in person or online? Any opposing public testimony in person or online? Okay, so if you can come up to the mic, please, and state your name for the record.
Hi, my name is Carl Fry, and I live on Homestead Road, just down the road from Connexie Pines. So my comments are probably somewhere between neutral and opposed, and maybe some of the questions I have have been taken care of. So as I read the application, I thought I read that it was, as you said, for the overnight wedding guests,
It is
and it's like one night.
1 to 2 nights. Yeah.
Okay. So what I saw was 30 days. So that's a bit of a concern. So I'd like to see it remain a wedding venue as was originally, proposed in their original conditional use permit. And the other concern that I have is traffic and dust. And anybody who's driven down Homestead Road knows that is not a very well-maintained road. It goes from mud to dust in like 2 or 3 days, which it's back to dust now. And I don't think the additional traffic from the RVs is really that big of a deal. But my bigger concern is RVs that bring ATVs. And if there's something we can do to keep the ATV traffic off Homestead Road, that is my biggest concern, having those ATVs running up and down there, breakneck speed. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, would the applicant like to make any? Oh, I'm sorry, were there any other? No, okay, now you can get it, my bad,
Okay.
forgot to ask the quick question.
Yeah, we have no intention of making it anything other than the wedding venue. It's kind of to keep. People have concern about family members drinking, or they want to have like a 2 to 3 day like kind of an event around their wedding. So just be a small group that's camping back there. All that ATV traffic that we see every day on Homestead, that's not us. That's just, so we're right next to the National Forest. So there's people cruising in and out of there constantly, just members of the public. As far as dust, we do contribute to Berry Patch Road Association to help maintain the road. Any other questions?
Do you think they're gonna have RVs?
Actually, you need to step back up and state your
Sorry.
name.
Yeah, so as I stated, my concern isn't it is the ATV traffic that's already there, but any additional traffic that might be brought on from this project.
Okay, so then I guess you can address that now.
Yeah, so we're proposing, so it's up to 10 campsites, so that could be essentially an RV or a tent. So kind of whatever the people bring in. So, I mean, it's probably less than what we're already seeing going towards, I'm sure you see all the people on the Forest Service there. We get a lot of RVs and weekenders and all that stuff on the road already. But yeah, the conditional use or the modification is for 10 sites total. On there.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, so there was no one else online. For the
Well, they have their hand up.
No hands up, okay. Alrighty. Well, then at this time, I'm gonna close the hearing to public testimony. I actually like the idea of offering a campground to the folks coming to the wedding. I think that actually can help with a little bit of the traffic issue because you're not dealing with people leaving after they've been partying or having a good time. I think that's always a nice option to offer up. And as you mentioned, you are close to right on the Forest Service property there. So you are seeing that kind of traffic, unfortunately. Anyway, however, I was thinking if they're camping there, they're already right there. So it's not necessarily that they're cruising all the way up and down the road. I could be wrong on that one, but that's kind of the idea I was catching. I do also like the fact that there is a lot of conditions in here that you guys will be meeting, so it's not going to be an easy process for you to get to that point. But there is a lot of here conditions, especially with DEQ and panhandle health concerns, that you will be required to meet, and I believe that that is going to help a lot alleviate some of any concerns other folks have about this venture going on. You answered all my questions, so that was good. I was a little concerned about fire suppression, but it appears you guys have been working with the Selkirk Fire District or Sagal Fire District. I guess they were both listed. So it seems like that you've been addressing those issues, which is great. I know that's always a concern when people want to put campgrounds in, so. Okay, and then I like the fact too that it's a large piece of property and you're kind of putting everybody right in the middle. So there's a nice vegetative buffer zone there as well. Okay. All right, I'm gonna rattle all that off. I need to find my spot. Okay. Okay, so I am going to approve this project file MOD 0007-24, modifying CUP 0017-23, requesting for the addition of an RV park / campground to be used in conjunction with the private community facility, finding that it is not in conflict with the policies of the Bonner County Comprehensive Plan and Bonner County Revised Code as enumerated in the following conclusions of law. Conclusion 1, the proposed conditional use is not in conflict with the policies of the Bonner County Comprehensive Plan. Conclusion 2, this proposal was reviewed for compliance with the criteria and standards set forth at BCRC Title 12, Chapter 2, Subchapter 2.2, Conditional Use Permits, Chapter 3, Subchapter 3.3, Chapter 4, Development Standards, Subchapter 4.9, Standards for Specific Uses, and Chapter 7, Environmental Standards, and was found to be in compliance. Conclusion 3, the proposed use will not create a hazard or will not be dangerous to persons on or adjacent property, to the property. The decision is based upon the evidence submitted up to the time the staff report was prepared and the testimony received at this hearing. I further move to adopt the findings of fact and conclusions of law as set forth in the staff report and direct planning staff to draft written findings and conclusions to reflect this motion. Not sure what that means, and have them transmit to all interested parties. This action does not result in the taking of private property. Sorry, a little new wording in there was not used to. Okay. The action that could be taken, if any, to obtain. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna just skip what I'm.
Do we do the findings?
No, it just, there's some verbiage in here about a zone change, and that's not what's going on here. Okay, I guess I'm just gonna wing it. The action that could be taken to obtain the modification is to. Okay.
So you ended on the part, this action does not result in the taking of private property, and then the findings of fact would have been next.
It's not, that motion is not.
Okay. Let's see, so I stated this action does not result in taking of private property. Let me find something here to. Last little chunk.
I'm looking for the word for correct metric.
Yeah, I'm too. Thinking I can just. Hang on in this last little part. Tell me if I'm wrong, but. The action that could be taken to obtain this modification is to complete the conditions of approval as adopted. Okay, good. Okay, that was the last line I wanted. Okay, so, sorry. Okay, so at this time, I am closing file MOD 0007-24. Okay, sorry about that. Well, that's all good. All right, so are there any updates, announcements?
Take this to the meeting, so yeah.
The heads up, Jacob L. Planning Director, just a heads up, your next two meetings are gonna be up on the 3rd floor. It's gonna be on the 5th of next month and then the 21st as well. We have currently 2 files for each of those days. So other than that, I don't have any updates for you.
Oh,
The
yeah.
7th.
I think
I read 5/7 and I said the 5th. It's the 7th of next month and the 25th.
Yeah, that's what I have to.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry.
Like the 16.
That's all I have.
It's a day. Okay, all righty, there's anything else from anybody?
No.
All right, then I am adjourning this hearing until May 7th, 2025.
Okay.
What did you say? Which house are you?
So.
Oh, right on the
Are we still,
corner,
are we done recording?
Berry Patch Loop turns.
Oh, okay.